Hello, hello. We are live. Welcome to today's live stream, and where we're going to feature Todd Stofka, who is a certified hypnotherapist and a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic psychology. I think it's going to be a fantastic live cast today with guest speaker Todd. I think you're in for a treat today. Todd is, as I mentioned before, a master practitioner, and he founded the Philly Hypnosis Center, and is has then since transformed many people from smokers into non-smokers, sports enthusiasts into ace athletes. I mean, Todd, he's got it all. I think it's going to be a excellent live cast today. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Todd Stofka. Welcome to.
Frank, thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. I'm so excited about this event today because I think hypnosis is such a interesting field that one can only be interested in this.
Yeah, it's been something that got my interest 25 years ago, and I found it's been a great tool to help people just improve their lives and their performance. So I look forward to getting into it and sharing with you and your audience.
Excellent, wonderful. So usually what we do is we have a little conversation, and then at the end of the live cast we have a Q&A where the audience can ask you some questions, and we'll just take it from there, and I hope it's going to be an interesting evening for everyone. I would say, why don't you talk about yourself? How did you started in the industry, and what have you done so far? I think it's highly interesting, and will be very interesting for our audience to know.
So back in the late 90s, I was a senior manager in the sales area, and I always was kind of curious why I could have great rapport with one individual and yet a lack of rapport with another. So a friend of mine, we started studying neuro-linguistic psychology, NLP, and what I began to understand is how people think, how people, process information better for me to understand their model of the world and sort of then frame what do I want to present to them in their world so they would have a better understanding of it. So there was times where we just seemed to gel and there wasn't time. So what this kind of gave me is a better communication model, a better training model to use. And so I went and got my master's in it, and from there had started Philly Hypnosis Performance and started working in the performance area. It started with weight loss and smoking cessation, or helping people stop smoking. And I've worked with thousands of people in the weight loss area. I think over 800 clients have stopped smoking successfully with me. And from there, really found a niche in the business community and in sports performance and sports psychology. So really looking at what is the issue and how do we help you perform better, and really in all those different areas. So it doesn't really matter. It's just a great way for you to run your brain differently and ultimately run your brain that works best for you. Because you probably have known that you've been in the kitchen as a chef, and there's been days it's been on autopilot, right? You could do no wrong. And there's other days you've had two left thumbs and you probably used a knife and tried to remove one of those thumbs, when something wasn't going right, whether it was just you were in a bad mood or, just a crazy thought or something wasn't there. So how do we take someone, with your expertise and teach you to get, in the zone, into that sweet spot where you can perform really well? And that's really what I found a niche for and have gotten really good at. And so using that, and then, back in the business world in the area of marketing and sales, being able to help people communicate better, present information, and ultimately close more deals, in the business side.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting. I always realize there's a few parts to it, especially when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to, any kind of performance. It's always here. It's
Right.
always, it starts and it ends with a thought, so to speak. I always say, my, my grandma, or whoever it is, wouldn't have been able to bake an apple pie if she didn't have a thought. So, the thought has to be there. And I believe, you take it a notch further. You um, focus the thoughts on, I guess, on a specific topic, which makes it really, really, laser focused, so to speak.
Well, one of the things that most people kind of end up tripping themselves up before they even get going is they think about the wrong things. So
Mm.
if we take your grandmother and that apple pie, right? She either can think she can make it right, or she can think she can make it wrong, right? And nobody wants to eat it, right? She could either see people once it's on the table, just drooling, waiting for her to get the knife out, or they're just going like, nah, I'm not eating that again, type of thing. So obviously, if she's had the experience of people really enjoying it, then she knows, what to do and what there. If she doesn't mean that she can't make a good pie, but she's more apt to make mistakes, or not do it as efficiently as she could. So kind of being able to get yourself in the right framework and carry that all the way through, whatever you're doing, makes a big difference. And it's where a lot of people will, kind of check out. I call it hitting the effort button up front, is if they really don't see themselves, hear themselves, feel themselves performing well, they would rather not get on the stage and try. And
Yeah.
they would live in quiet desperation on the sidelines.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head. This is what I see in my daily life. I see people who need desperately help, but even if the help is being offered, they don't take it.
Right.
They don't take it, and it's I don't know. It frustrates me that sometimes that you're offering help and they don't take it. So I think this is where people like you come in, and it's just absolutely phenomenal.
Well, I'd like to say that I have great success and I have improved those odds, but there's still some people that I won't accept as clients. And, I really help them, in that area, really to manage mistakes, right?
Hmm.
Because life's going to bring those mistakes. And a lot of times it's not how much you succeed and knock the ball out of the park, but how many times can you get up to bat, or begin to do it, and there's a term, fail forward, right? And keep pressing and learning from what you've got going on, and having the mindset, yeah, I can do it. I'm like that little train that could. I think I can. I think I can. I think, and keep going.
Yep. Yep.
But again, what's beaten so many people, whether it's happened to them or they've seen it happen to other people, is they just don't want to try. And
Right.
At that point, there's not a whole lot, unless you got a red hot poker or some type of stick, that you're gonna give them some incentives that way to get moving, that they're gonna take complete action.
Right. Right. Let me just tell our audience, um, if you don't mind saying hello, and where you're from, just so that we know you're there. It's always nice to talk to an audience because I don't see too many comments. Don't be shy. Just say hello. It's always fun and always good to know who's there. Um, okay, Todd, I was curious. What's the difference between meditation and hypnosis?
Great question. What's the difference between meditation and hypnosis? In one sense, they're very similar from the standpoint, if you were to study the brain and the brain function, that we're taking people from a waking state of beta into alpha, theta, sometimes down into delta if we were to measure, with an EKG of the brain waves. The typical way people meditate is to empty the mind to relax the body. So beginning to quiet the mind. And the reason why most people fail in their meditation is that they have a lot of noise. There's a lot of internal dialogue, a lot of chatter in there, and they don't feel like they can hit that Zen moment, right? And quiet it down and really what's there. And what hypnosis does is, and they're both are really working for transformation. What hypnosis does is it works it a little differently. It works by relaxing the body first and focusing the mind. Okay. So, and we typically want to focus on some type of outcome, where meditation, their outcomes aren't generally talked about a whole lot. And a lot of people don't necessarily have a real outcome other than maybe focusing on your breath or your navel or, your mantra. So what I found is that people that have told me that they can't meditate or found it difficult, when you begin to do it this way, you begin to bring the relaxation through the body. And then you begin to focus the mind on what you want, and what, then the strategy is, by myself knowing kind of how to weave the training portion or the improvement or performance portion in there, and focusing on that way. And what ends up happening is that if this is my right hand, so this is your conscious mind. Your conscious mind handles 1 to 9 things at any one time. I usually say guys on the lower end, women on the higher end. But this is the analytical, the critical thinking, and this is where your willpower. So this is part of your brain that goes WTF, or what the heck? Why did you blow it? Why did you make that mistake? This is your inner critic, right? So on this other side is your unconscious mind. And how many things do you think go on in your unconscious mind, Frank?
Oh, our entire life has been guided by our unconscious mind, in my opinion, probably by 90%. But we don't.
Give me a number. Give me a number. How many things do you think go on in your unconscious mind every second?
Oh, I don't know. Dozens, hundreds. I don't know.
More.
1,000.
More.
Hundreds of thousands.
They say close to 2.3 million things happen in your unconscious mind every second. Habits, instincts, memories, emotions. So this is what goes on over there. So what we need to do, in the way hypnosis works so effectively, is that once we get past the age of 7 or 8, where we develop the conscious mind inside, this is where we've heard the term muscle memory. This is heard repetition and learning, right? This is why you learn to crack an egg 18 million times before you got it, with one hand, and doing it with getting shells into my food, right?
That's right.
But what ends up happening is that the question is can you do it perfectly, or are you practicing imperfectly? So what hypnosis does is it kind of comes in between here, and the first thing is, number one, is that relax the body, and the second thing is to focus the mind. The third, as we've already talked about, is following instructions or building new instructions. And what we do is, once we relax, focus, follow instructions, we can create a super learning state around here, where your unconscious mind doesn't know if it's real or not real, but acts as if it is, right? Mm-hmm. So when you begin to immerse yourself into that environment, where in your mind's eye, you're seeing it, you're hearing it, you're feeling it, even, in your area, smell and taste is really critical. You're beginning to pull all that together, and your unconscious mind's beginning to create a blueprint and a model that. And then so what's happening in your brain is, I can run you through, 10, 20, hundreds of scenarios that are repeating that performance. So it's as if you've already done it, and training your brain. And so when you come back to full conscious, full awareness, is then you've already practiced it. I've had somebody, who, in one session, we kind of did this, was smoking 5 packs of cigarettes and just stopped. Right. People that do it for eating, hitting golf balls, making presentations, anxiety, I can't always say it's going to be that quick, just depending on how you hold on to your problems. Right. Yeah. But this is how your brain works and what goes in there. So when we relax, we focus, where in meditation, you would be trying to quiet this noise, and what's in there, your brain's going, if you've meditated, like, am I doing it right? Am I quiet enough? Am I breathing too slow? Am I breathing too fast? Is it too light? Is it too dark? I hear the siren outside, my wife's calling me, all the typical crap. And I can take all that stuff and use it and make you relax even faster and easier. Just like I think when you listen to that stress reduction recording I sent you, right?
Yes.
Which we can make available to all your listeners, is whatever noise is going on, that just only helps you listen to me, right? And my voice is only helping you relax, right? Yeah. And what's there to fight, right? It's just you're feeling good, you're relaxed, you're feeling safe, and I give you permission to respond perfectly if there should ever be an emergency. So why not just go with it and see what happens? And what ends up happening, like anything that you practice, is that you train your neurology with it, right? You're training your brain so that the next time you listen to it, the next time you begin to practice some of the key words that I have in there, or the trigger words, or those type of statements, your brain already knows what to do and your body knows how to follow.
Yeah.
So the language, you hear from Joe Dispenza, thoughts are the language of the brain, feelings are the language of the body. And how do we begin to pull those together so that we're working, in sync together? Right.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I always tell my clients that I take the approach, or we take the approach of the Olympic athlete, because every Olympic athlete has a coach, so to speak, and they visualizing, the performance they're aiming at. And if I tell my clients the same way, you want to visualize how you want to look, or how you want to feel like after you eat a certain way, is that beneficial? Do you think that's is that enough to teach them, or does it has to go further or deeper?
Teach them what, though? What do you want them to do?
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is, for instance, if someone wants to lose 100 pounds,
right?
And if I tell this person, okay, visualize yourself being, or standing on the scale, 100 pounds lighter, don't you think that that takes you faster to your goal if you can envision yourself already? What is your experience with that?
Yes, I honestly do, because it's one of the things that I use all the time with people. What happens in this case that you have to inoculate against is, the little voice in the back of your head that goes bullshit, BS, right? Because they've either, the biggest thing that when people show up in your office or your kitchen for you to help them lose weight, they've probably failed dozens of times before, right? Yeah. How many people start their diet on Monday, only by Monday afternoon or by Tuesday morning only be able to hit the F it button, right?
Right.
So, being able, so you've really only, I think you're moving in the right direction, but you're missing out, 4 other modalities that God built in us, right? So you had visualization, you've got, auditory, but there's auditory and listening, but there's your internal auditory dialogue, what you say to yourself.
Yeah.
You have those kinesthetic feelings, right?
Yeah.
And then you have smell and taste, right? So, nothing, you probably heard the saying, nothing tastes as good as thin feels, right?
Yep.
But what does thin feel? You know what I mean? I've had, people, women as size 0s in there and then telling me that they're fat, right? And, they've got too much weight on. And I've had other people that, were several hundred pounds and said that they weren't the right weight, you know what I mean, at the same time. So you begin to, think about how do I help them, succeed through the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, the whole process, like you and I were chatting, earlier was,
yes.
And my model is that, weight loss has really three elements, 3 circles. First there's your world, which is the circle of food, or, ultimately fuel. You have the second circle, which is going to be moving your body, exercise, playtime, because we got to create a way to consume, energy and burn energy. Mm-hmm. And the third one is where, where I kind of, play most of the time within that circle is going to be, you what part of you is stopping you from being who you want to be? What part of you, do we have to modify, that keeps you stuck where you are?
Yeah.
Right. Because it's your thinking, that this controls this, right? Your mouth.
Yeah.
And what part of you is eating for, solace, eating for comfort, eating for, entertainment, eating for boredom, that you're not putting in the right quantity and quality that will cause your body to burn, right? And, and then how much Velcro have you, put on your butt so that you're stuck to the chair and you're not getting up and exercising or moving your body, right?
Yeah.
And then, you've got historic models like, what did your mother, your grandmother, or your father, your grandfather, on the male side of it, what were their appearances like? What's kind of the family, genealogy sort of like from, a mindset, but also a body set, right? Because, birds of a feather kind of flock together. What about your friends? What's sort of their, body types and how do they carry themselves, right? So, and, you've got those three characteristics. So when you begin to get all those working together, it's easy. And you have to inoculate, people I find against their friends, against their spouses, because they're going to be jealous, type of thing. And it's sort of like if you've ever been, you've made dishes out of crab. If you ever gotten live crabs out, one of them finds a way to get its, legs up over the edge. But as soon as it does, another one reaches up and pulls it back.
Yeah.
Right. So, one of the mental problems is that you get a client, who's taking action and doing it. Their friends don't like, your spouses not necessarily like that they're taking action and will sabotage them to keep that homeostasis.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had people who have lost 20, 30, 40 pounds only to really struggle at that point because their life was improving. They were much more energetic. They were feeling better for taking action. Yeah. Yet they felt a lot of pressure from their spouse on against the change because they were still stuck and their spouse was, moving ahead.
Right.
And so now you have another conflict that comes up. That's not, can I eat, the great foods that Chef Frank makes? Can I go move my body and have fun? It's like, will my husband still love me even though I'm looking better because I've lost this weight, or my wife still love me? You know what I mean? Or, they think I'm having an affair because this radical change has happened in my life.
Wow. That's
true. What I mean? So I'm going to say, in the area, weight loss is probably the most challenging thing. You give me any golfer and in the world versus, somebody, because people are used to, starting and failing, I mean? And the biggest thing is, managing mistakes, in this area is being able to manage because, let's just say you had an open house and I came to it and I was eating really clean and you have something that's not on my, my normal, eating regimen, and I partake of it. And all of a sudden, remember that critic in your conscious mind, this person over here is just going like, you blew it, you failed, you're going to get fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, whatever that part is. If you don't know how to, work with it right, shut it down, it's there. And then, then you're feeling bad and you're like, you check out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and that's not really reality, but that's their reality. And unfortunately, this is the part of the mental game in making this a success, for people.
Right. This is so interesting because I tell my clients, don't tell yourself, oh, I'm so fat, or I'm so ugly, or I'm this, or I'm that. It's the same like if a stranger would tell them, oh, you are that, you are whatever, and that's insulting. But they don't realize that they actually harm themselves by talking this language to themselves. Don't you think?
You're right. And let me give you a little science behind that, and then we'll talk about that further. So if I tell you and your audience, listen, don't think about the pink elephant next to the purple palm tree in this palm. Don't even imagine that pink elephant in the purple palm tree. Don't even, Frank, let that thought sneak in your head. There's a pink elephant in a purple palm tree. What are you thinking about?
Only the two things.
But I told you not to do it.
I know.
I told you not 3 times. So here's the science behind that, is that people's brains can't handle negation, right? So you cannot not do something. So if I say, look, I don't want you to think about the big hairy spider crawling up the boat, sailing, sailboats behind you. Don't even imagine a thing there. You're going to be like thinking about like, hey, is Todd really seeing my audience seeing a spider back there, right? Your brain can't do it. So what ends up happening is that people use it incorrectly. They're talking about what they don't want,
Mm-hmm.
and so when I had in my offices, the question is, what do you want? And then what do you don't want? Right.
Okay.
And people can generally tell me what they don't want. You just told me they're fat, they're ugly, they're stupid, they're dumb, whatever. So what's the mirror opposite reverse, right? So I don't want you to think about being thin, or I don't want you to think about being happy, or I don't want you to think that you can make this food in an easy, effortless way, right? Because if you made it in an easy, effortless way and your body began to respond, you had more energy. But don't think about having more energy and having more fun. Don't think about, dropping another size, in an easy way, because you could just stay fat and, dumb and stupid, but why would you want to stay fat and dumb and stupid? Don't think about those other things. So you begin to linguistically, play with it a little bit so that it begins to, change some circuits, fry some circuits in their brain so that they use that excuse less, right? Yeah. And, there's going to be there. You also have to remember that, in the area of weight loss, when people generally put weight on, usually there's been something that's happened, a breakup, a divorce.
Yeah.
And so part of a lot of weight loss is to make you invisible, right? Mm-hmm. So that you blend in, I'm blending in really well with the white wall behind me, but you're invisible. People don't look at you, right? And so there's two edges to this. So when you start to begin to take action and begin to release that weight, you begin to move, you begin to enjoy life again, people start to take notice of you, right?
Yeah.
So, I have to condition people, there's a small group that will love, all the compliments. But I'm going to say the majority of people are uncomfortable having compliments said about, given to them. And if that's the case, then where is the safety? Right. Your unconscious mind, you got to think about that extra weight that's been wrapped around you is safety, that's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you start to take that off, how do I still remain safe, in that environment, with those is, just another area that I've seen people get tripped up on. A couple there, I've had, a smaller percentage that really love it. They love the compliments. They just kind of eat it up. Keep telling me how good I look, how sexy I look, how handsome I look. The clothes fit great. They love it. But I'm going to say the majority of them, they want to run and hide because that means somebody's noticed you, right? Yeah. Someone's identified you. And that's really what you want is you want to be identified because you are taking action. You really need that reinforcement. However, if you don't have a different model of the world, it's going to cause you to revert back to old habits. Staying invisible. And that's really not what you truly want, but you haven't identified what you do want. And so you stick with what you know.
Yeah. So do I really have to tell everyone, okay, don't eat healthy, don't lose that weight, don't think about fresh fruit and vegetables? That's a bit confusing, isn't it?
Well, what it does, there is one group, there are matchers and there's mismatchers, type of thing. So that's definitely a strategy with someone who's a mismatcher. When you tell them to sit still, they want to move. You tell them to go, they stop. They do everything just the opposite. So there's certain ones that works well with. Okay. What it does do for them is when you've taken the time to build a list of what they want, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
now what it does is, because that word not forces them to think down in that rabbit hole, it's a rabbit hole that they want to go down in.
Yeah.
Right. So, in weaving it in the conversation, you kind of do it a little jest, right? Yeah, I don't want you to think, these fresh vegetables will be good for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't even imagine that you can buy them and then you can eat them and they'll feel good. And they're single ingredient foods. They're the foods that God made, that are around the perimeter of your city. But man, don't even find that it's easy to do that, right? So, you're beginning to, it's a little bit of takeaway, right? If you give people, oranges, a bowl of oranges and, pizza or donuts, right? Which one are they going to eat more of? They've been trained to eat, and they can't stop eating the processed foods because that's the way food science has built it. You can only eat so many oranges, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just the way, it's the way God made it, and, and with the digestive enzymes in it and things like that, because you become full and satiated with it. Where with, processed foods that have high fructose corn syrup and other things that are, food science is built to sell food. Right.
Yeah.
And, God didn't build it to sell oranges and apples and, lettuce and carrots and, broccoli.
Yeah.
Right. It's green leafy vegetables that have, great minerals in it. So you've got to kind of understand, part of the game that's out there and what's causing, the failure to be there. So coming back on the language thing is that, sometimes it's good just to help people because they hear it, and, the thing about hypnosis, and when I make recordings for, every client that I work with, I make recordings with, is that it's the repetition, it's the repetition of listening to it. And how many, it's similar to, we know as a buying strategy, how many times does somebody have to be exposed to something before they, will take action? Usually it's, 5 to 7, some people more, 10, 12 times, where before they'll see it and then, the impulse to take action. So it's kind of the same way, just using primarily the audio channel of their, their brain to put it in there, but using the other 5 senses in a way to help enhance that performance.
Yeah. Wow, interesting. Okay, I would like to ask the audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask Todd anything, anything you like, you have questions about. We're opening up.
Yeah, Frank, one of the things people, when they hear hypnosis, they kind of get the idea that, hey, what if I quack like the dog or bark like the duck, right? When you're done. And I always tell people, you're already doing that. You're already, if you're trying to lose weight, the food's already hypnotized you. Your laziness is already, that couch has already hypnotized you. You really need to dehypnotize yourself from these behaviors that have become so repetitious already that are causing your failure. So it's really, when you think about hypnosis, is I like to think of it more as that you learning to run your brain properly, right? You run it more efficiently. You take back the control, because right now, with people with weight issues, is they don't. The food and everything else has control over you, because whatever little emotion comes up, it it causes you to put something in your mouth.
Right. I call it the comfort zone. We all have our comfort zone, and that's what we need to learn to deal with, in my opinion. It's something. Food makes us comfortable, depending. Everyone is different. Everyone has their own little food niche that makes them happy.
Right.
But so if we can identify that, and then we are a step further. But I guess your approach is really ideal, going deeper and addressing that.
Well, I think, you probably have read the studies that, I've seen, like the university professor that had the vending machine diet. You had Jared originally at Subway that lost weight. I've seen people have the fast food diet and things. So, when you kind of understand, and I like to use basal metabolic rate, if you really want to get into the math of it, your BMR, How many calories do you need to have in your body in order for you to have your metabolism going, and where's that fat burning zone in there? People are really mistaken with the wrong things, and then the foods that make you feel good, right? So, your brain works with thoughts, create behaviors and actions that give you feelings and emotions, right? So again, mindless eating is that area you're stressed, you're bored, mad, sad, frustrated, time of day, time of month, type of thing that you've learned through the years. Thankful, to your parents for, really instilling the wrong things in there. You fell down and hurt yourself. So your parents gave you, some food reward to distract you from the pain, when you skinned your knee, right?
Yeah.
Let me give you, some candy or, some baked goods or whatever. And now all of a sudden, now when you think pain, you think that way. The movie industry, if you watch any chick flicks, if you watch, one woman who's, upset or sad and her friends come around, what do they bring?
Flowers.
Oh, come
wine.
on. Where have you seen other girlfriends bring, their friends? They bring wine, they bring chocolate, or they bring ice cream, right?
Yes.
Right. And so already you've got a social, thing in your head. So I should either drink, I should have two sugary things that will, I guess dark chocolate would be the least evil of them all. Maybe some benefit, but you've got Hollywood telling you how to adjust your eating habit, right?
True.
But none of those three change the problem.
No, of course not.
No, they, delayed it, caused, a temporary, fix or, some mindset change for a little bit, but, you wake up the next morning with your hangover from the wine, whatever happened before is still reality. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, this is just, the thing. It's no different than if I followed you and I found out like, hey, what did your grandmother make? What did your great grandmother make? What did you do on holidays and traditions and stuff? There's probably things that, you continue on just because that's what I was taught to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was in a hospital, when I was a child, my mom would come and bring me ice cream every day. It's crazy, but that's how we've been.
And so ice cream has a certain place for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You
find a similar flavor or a similar situation. You had ice cream and you're instantly transported back to when you were a child.
Absolutely. And there's actually quite a few foods that remind me of my childhood. That's actually what we address in my program as well, because food is associated with memories, and these memories are attached to holidays, to, as you said, to all kind of different moments. Yeah, it's highly interesting. Okay, sorry. Barbara had a question. How do people access your services, and what would it look like?
So Barbara, if you went to phillyhypnosis.com, you can reach out there and see the different services, testimonials there. Then I have a little pop-up that you can get in touch with me. So what I have done is with each one of these programs, I put together a custom program based on an assessment and intake form, and talking to you on what you want to accomplish with it. So, and then, as I mentioned, one of the things that I do that I think is pretty unique is every session that I'm working with people, I create a custom recording, and I have an app similar to which I shared with Frank that you can listen to and stream, these recordings that are made for you to take full advantage of.
I can put the link in the comments here if you like. Let me see where it is. I hope this is the right one. It says the weight loss solution. Is that correct? Is this the right one?
Yeah, the Philly Hypnosis redirects over to the best weight loss solution is what I had, and I've just kind of kept it for everything.
Okay. That's where you can reach Todd.
Correct.
It's very impressive when you see the website. Um, you have been featured on TV, quite a few TV stations, and very, very impressive.
You could also reach out to me if you want to call me direct at 215-696-1267. 215-696-1267.
Can you say it again? I'll put it in the comments. 215
696
Yep.
1267.
Okay.
I am based in the Philadelphia area. However, I work completely online.
Okay.
COVID had me shut down 3 offices, and which I was already working online for about 5 or 6 years with a lot of my athletes that travel, but just made it more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Let me see if there's any other questions here. Not right now, but I'm pretty sure that usually we have quite a lot more people watch, but I have another live stream right after this, so I guess.
I see you saved all the good people for your second one. Is that what you're telling me?
No. That's the thing. I have my culinary accelerator after this, which
Gotcha.
Next time I shouldn't be doing this. This is, but again, I'm pretty sure that we have a lot of people watching this video. It's recorded on YouTube and Facebook. I will add the links how to reach you and the phone number and the. Can I put the link that you sent me for the tape?
Yes.
Can I put it there? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty cool. Very, very interesting. Very, very relaxing.
So what Frank's talking about is with everybody that I start out with, I share one of my recordings called Going from Stress to Calm, because stress usually, whether it's weight, golf, sports, business, stress usually gets in the way of your peak performance. So it's an easy way to help get introduced, to teach you to relax, teach you to focus, calm down your nervous system so that you can run your brain more efficiently.
Yeah.
And Frank, what we can do too is that, based on the comments and the interest back, we can always just do another one, and then we can just, tailor it to more specific questions that your audience, has in reference to this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm copying the link as we speak. I'm going to put it into the comments. Okay, so this is the link what I'm putting in here right now. You can click on it and you can listen to Todd's
Stress to Calm recording.
Stress to Calm, which is really cool. I listened to it and it's fantastic. It's really, really great. I'm gonna put it in here, and I will put the information on the YouTube recording as well. Wonderful. Let's see. Okay. Right now we don't have too many questions. Great info. Thanks, Erica. But I'm almost certain that we will create a lot of how you call it, questions about your services, and very, very highly interesting. Okay, Todd. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience? Anywhere else where people can get in touch with you? Or
I got lots to share, Frank, but you won't be getting into your next presentation. So I want to greatly, thank you for having me on. It's been enjoyable. I love working with experts like yourself in this area, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you so much, Todd. It was a pleasure. Great to have you here, and hope to do this again and keep in touch. And hypnosis is something I'm really, really interested about, and like to learn a lot more about it. Thank you so much, Todd.
Thank you.
Have a great day, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity, Frank.
You're well welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
Don't hang up yet. Give me 1 second. I'll be just tell our audience goodbye, and then I'll be right with you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. I thought it was something really, really interesting, different from what I usually, from the speakers I usually feature. But I believe Todd has shown us something what is so deeply ingrained in us, and something that a lot of people are not aware of, on how to reach their goals. And I think Todd shed a little light on this. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me tonight. All the information is on YouTube. Anyone who is watching us on YouTube, please give it a thumbs up and follow our channel. That will help grow the channel. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Be safe and think plant-based.